Greetings, everyone. When I was in high school, I stumbled upon a recording artist that had a profound effect on my musical tastes and eventually my musical abilities. That artist was Barry Manilow. Now, Barry Manilow came into popularity in the 1970s and in through the 80s as well. Barry Manilow was known for his easy singing musical style, also for his Brooklyn accent, and also for his orchestrated piano ballads, which really struck a chord with troubled lovers all over the world, from the United States to England to Japan. And the album that I discovered him was a compilation album called Ultimate Manilow, which featured 20 of his arguably most popular hits. They were certainly chart toppers. Now, one of the pieces on this track was taken from his album 2 a.m. Paradise Cafe, and it's called When October Goes. Now, being that this is past October, I thought that it was appropriate to just share a little bit about this piece. And it's interesting that when you listen to it, being a musician as I am, there are some musical things that you can actually take notice of. And I thought that it was interesting enough that I want to share those with you. So we're going to go to the piano and I'm going to share some stuff about this with you. Okay, so let's deal with the melody first, okay? Now, there's plenty of different ways that you can write a melody. And a melody is simply the string of notes that makes a unique tune. It's the fingerprint of the song. It's what makes it unique, and it's its own personal identity. It's the part you sing. So there are different ways that you can do this. And the way that Barry does it for this tune is he starts with a little motive, and a motive is just a little musical thought. And it starts out this way. So it starts with a chord, and then kind of trickles down a little bit like that. So that's the motive, okay? Now, what you can do with a motive is you can repeat a motive, or you can bring a motive up or a motive down, what we call a sequence. So he starts it off again here, and then he does the same thing, but just a step lower. He kind of takes the ending a little differently, but it starts with that chord. The chord goes a little lower, another step down. So he's sequencing down. So it's a very simple way of doing a melody. You start with a motive, a little musical idea, and he's sequencing it down each time. And it's very simple, but it works, and it blends beautifully with the harmony. Now, the harmony, this is where a lot of the magic happens here. So the way that the harmony is working is based on this idea of what's called the circle of fifths, okay? Now, the circle of fifths can be thought of a couple different ways. One of them is just of the basic idea of key signatures, where, like, wherever your home key is, your home note that you're building your song on, which we call the tonic, that has a key signature, which means a set of white and black keys that you're going to use. And every 5 letters, well, better said, every perfect fifth, one way or the other, you find that you're either adding flats to your key signature or you're adding sharps to your key signature. Okay, so it changes the amount of black and white keys that you need. So home starts out in E major. Okay, we need 4 sharps in E major. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there we are, okay? So that's one way of circle of fifths, is just understanding how that works. Now, the second way of understanding how circle of fifths works is how you can kind of cycle every 5 letters and find a new chord, a new root that you're building a chord off. So I'll show you. He starts in F sharp minor, and then 5 keys away. Now this is a B chord. That's 5 letters away from F sharp. 5 notes again. That's E major. That's back home. Take it another fifth. Now we're in A. Now 5 more notes down. Okay, 5 more notes down. That's D sharp. Now that's a G sharp. That was 5 more letters. And that was C sharp. So we've been going every 5 letters to find a new harmony. So we're following this back and forth of these every 5 letters to create this back and forth of chords like this. And then it kind of starts again a little bit. And then he finishes it off. And so this back and forth of the chords, the reason that makes it so good is when you're doing music, you have this home place, right? But you can't just stay at home all the time. That would be like a guitarist just constantly strumming one chord and not changing. That would be really, really boring if he doesn't do anything, changing sounds. So musically, we start at this home sound, the tonic chord, and then we go places. We go out. That's the idea of just the basic progression of chords. But what he's doing is Barry is cycling through all these different circles of fifths and taking us in, it's like a country road. A country road that's taking you to the left and to the right and to the left and to the right over these hills. And it's this back and forth motion, but the thing is, you never get lost though. You never get lost because you can always see what's coming up because it's predictable. So it feels very safe because we're following the circle of fifths, okay? Now, here's another thing that happens here too, is what we call cadence, okay? Now, cadence is when you come to the end of your musical thought, the end of your musical phrase. So here we're back in the F sharp minor. So remember that E is 1. So that means that the F sharp is 2. And then we go up to 3, 4, and then 5. Well, basically 5. B is 5. And it should go to 1, which it does. Okay? And so we call that 5 to 1 the perfect authentic cadence. Well, technically, the perfect authentic cadence would be something more like this. But instead, it's just a little, a little better, a little jazzier. Okay? So, that's the perfect authentic cadence. We arrived home. Now, what's interesting, he takes that spot from here, and then he uses that to start a new sequence of motives in a different key signature, which would be G. That's only 1 sharp away. That's not a closely related key. E sharp's not closely related to G major, but being related by thirds gives it kind of an interesting workable relationship. So he does the same sort of idea of doing circle of fifths. A goes to D, and then down to G, to C, F sharp diminished, to a B, and then to the E. Now that hit right there, that's a beautiful hit right there, where you have that augmented and you're hitting like that. That resolves here, and that's so gorgeous. I love half steps in music. Half steps are where the magic happens. Now I'm going to cut to the next cadence here. So it's similar. We're at 2 again because remember G was 1. G is our tonic. So 2 is the A minor. And then he goes to 3. And then 4. And then 5. Now he should, classically speaking, should go to 1. Because 5 wants to go to 1, but he doesn't. There's something else he does. He does a trick. So it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He goes to the 6th letter of the scale. We call this the deceptive cadence because he has more that he wants to say here. And then he does what we call a coda. A coda is kind of a tail end of the song, almost a PS, if you will, a postscript. And so that's where he goes in. Okay, so he said his extra little coda, his extra PS, his postscript, and he's going to do the last cadence one more time. This is the final cadence. This is 2 again, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5 again. Now, again, you would expect it if we were going to be wrapping it up nice and neat, he would come back home to 1, which would be, again, the authentic cadence. But it doesn't. It goes 2, 3, 4, 5, and it comes to the deceptive cadence again, the 6. So by ending in this minor, this E minor is related to G major because they share the same key signature, the same amount of white and black keys, and so they're relatives to each other. And so by ending in this deceptive cadence, this E minor, he's accentuating just the heartache of this man who's going through this recollection of what October, of what fall means to him. Because if you remember in the lyric, which again is just a gorgeous lyric by Johnny Mercer. I mean, it's real. It's sad, but I mean, it's life, and people go through this. He had happy years with this person. He has memories of happy years when October comes or when it goes by, but then he turns his head away to hide helpless tears. Why? It's because I read it as saying that she's no longer there. And now he needs to go through this holiday season again. When October goes, you've got November, and then you've got Thanksgiving, and Christmas is coming, and New Year's, and just all these happy times, these celebrations. Well, everybody who's lost a loved one at the holidays knows what a painful time it is to go through these happy times and not have your best friend by your side, your spouse, that person, that better half of you, right? And so that's why he's ending in this melancholy E minor tone of the. That's what happens when October goes. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this musical look at this piece. And Barry's songwriting expertise is so well that he can use a simple melodic idea and a rather basic progression of chords, and he can make something that is a beautiful and gorgeous tune with lots of wonderful musically satisfying elements in it. So I hope that you have enjoyed this as much as I have, and I hope that as the holiday season comes upon you, that you are filled with good cheer, the company of friends, the joy of family, the love of our Creator, and as always, may the Force be with you.